While I was in AP Precalculus a few days ago, I came across this question, which was one of the extra fun questions that we were doing in class, and I thought it was a good idea to kind of go over this type of question with you guys. So if you want to, you can pause this video right now and solve it on your own, but I'm going to break this um, question down step by step. So it's basically saying if log of x y to the y cubed equals 1 and log x squared times y equals 1, what is log xy? I know this looks like that these threes and that the 3 and 2 are not exponents. They are. It's just I couldn't type it in here. But basically, when you read this problem, the first thing you should be figuring out how to do is to solve for your x and y variables, right? We need to solve for that first in order to figure out what x and y is. We're technically given x and y as variables, but not exactly, not like their exact values, because y to the third power and x to the second power, you know. So the first thing you need to understand is that these two expressions equal each other because they both equal 1. So they both equal each other. And so you can actually solve for x and y. Well, not really solve, but detect the relationship between them by setting them equal to each other, getting rid of the log. So that gets rid of the log. And then what you're going to find is that you're going to want to divide both sides by x. And what that does, cancels out x on this side. And because we have an x squared here and an x here, it cancels out the x squared, but we still have 1x on the numerator, and cancels out the x here. So now you're left with y cubed equals x times y. Then you can do, you can divide y on both sides. And when you do that, you're going to be given y squared equals x. And we can actually write that up here, just for future reference. So you might be wondering, what the heck does that mean? Well, to solve this problem, we need to understand the relationship between y squared equals x in here, and I'll show why in a minute. Because you're going to be using variable substitution quite soon. Now, here's the tricky part. This log expression equals 1. So does this log expression. So when you add these two together, what do you get? You get 2, right? Because 1 plus 1 equals 2. So what you can do, if this pen stops lagging so much, you can set it equal to 2. You can condense these two logarithmic expressions to end up with x cubed and y to the fourth equaling 2. Now here you can raise both sides to 10, or you can do 10 to the power of whatever. Cancels out the log here. 10 squared equals 100. For now, let's just write it as 10 squared, and I'll show you guys why in a minute. Just write it as 10 squared. And then for most people would be stuck here because you have an unknown x value, an unknown y value, and then you just have a random 10 squared. So you might be wondering what to do here. Well, you need to remember, you need to refer back to this relationship between y and x. What's another way to write y to the fourth power? Y to the fourth power is just y squared times y squared, right? That's very messy writing because my pen is lagging, but that's the relationship. So you're basically multiplying y squared by itself once. And because y squared equals x, you're essentially saying x squared. So x squared is equal to y to the power 4. So you can actually, so this is where the substitution comes into play. X squared, you multiply these two together, get x to the 5th equals 10 squared. And then what you can do here, to the 5th root on both sides, cancels out here, and you will find that x equals 10 to the 2/5 power. Or in other words, 10 squared to the 5th root. This is another way to write it. So you know what x is. So we can write that over here. And now let's clean this up a little bit so I can demonstrate another thing on the left side. By the way, you probably won't see a question this complicated on an AP pre-calc test. This is just like, the main benefit is just for you to feel challenged, you know? To prepare you for the test. It's to prepare you for the test, but not, you probably won't see questions like this. It's just to make sure you are ready. Okay, so y squared equals 10 to the 2 to the power of 2/5. What you can do here, square root both sides, and then essentially what that's going to equal is y equals 10 to the 1/5 power. Yeah? Okay. So we know that x equals 10 to the 2/5 power and y equals 10 to the 1/5 power. Now we know that what x and y is, we can go ahead and solve this. This is the finishing blow. We can go ahead and deliver our finishing blow. So for the final blow, what you're going to have to write is log of 10 to the 2/5 power times 10 to the 1/5 power equals what? And your answer, spoiler alert, is 3/5.